Chapter 25. The Reckoning. The air itself seemed to vibrate with the sheer malevolence radiating from Vargoth. Emily's breath hitched in her chest, a painful knot tightening around her lungs. He was a nightmare-given flesh, a symphony of dark blue scales that shimmered like polished obsidian in the faint, flickering light of the burning St. Michael's Church. Predatory grace defined his every subtle shift, a silent testament to the utter, unadulterated evil that pulsed beneath his sleek hide. His pale blue eyes, cold and ancient, fixed on her, calculating, cruel. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the encroaching silence of the graveyard, broken only by the crackle of distant flames and the unsettling whisper of the wind. Jake. The unspoken word was a desperate prayer, a burning mantra in her mind. She had to save Jake. He was the reason they were here, the reason they had brought this confrontation to its horrifying peak. Vargoth had haunted him for too long, his shadow a suffocating pall over Jake's innocent, gentle spirit. Emily felt the phantom ache of her own wounds, the exhaustion of the relentless pursuit. But it mattered none. Not now, not with Vargoth so close, so terrifyingly real. "Emily!" The cry, sharp and resonant, ripped through the fog-shrouded clearing. Two voices, strong and unwavering, cutting through the fear that threatened to consume her. Zoe and Anna. They stormed through the muddy ground, their boots squelching with each determined step, their forms emerging from the swirling mist like avenging angels. Twin auras of soft blue and golden light shimmered faintly behind them, ethereal echoes of the power they carried as guardians, as butterfly girls. Vargoth paused mid-step, his massive scaled form momentarily still. He raised his head slowly, nostrils flaring, drawing in the scent of their defiance, of the dwindling sanctity of the burning church. The three butterfly girls were now reunited before him, wounded but unyielding, a fragile line of light against his encroaching darkness. He rose to his full 12-foot height, a towering silhouette against the inferno of the stained glass windows behind him. His back quills, sharp as obsidian daggers, crackled faintly with red static, a low guttural growl rumbling in his chest. A mocking sneer twisted his reptilian features, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth. The air grew colder, heavier, and charged with the malevolence he exuded. The burning church seemed to sigh around them, smoke curling like dark tendrils, reaching for the heavens. Zoe, the youngest, stepped forward, her small frame radiating a fierce, unshakable fury. Her arms spread wide, instinctively shielding her sisters, a tiny, defiant barrier against the monstrous predator. Her soft blue aura flared brighter, a beacon in the encroaching gloom. "We are the Butterfly Girls," she declared, her voice ringing with the clarity of a bell, though a tremor of fear was barely perceptible beneath her resolve. "Protectors of the Chosen One, Jake Foster, and you, monster, are forbidden from ever going near him again. You've haunted him enough. Your reign of terror ends tonight." Anna, the eldest, moved to stand beside her, her golden aura pulsating with a steady, mature strength. Her eyes, usually warm and guiding, were now steel, mirroring Zoe's defiance. "Jake's destiny isn't yours to corrupt," she stated, her voice calm but unwavering, holding the weight of her leadership. "He has light inside him, a pure, untainted light that you, monster, could never comprehend. You don't get to take that from him, not while we still breathe." Emily, despite the searing pain in her side, the exhaustion gnawing at her bones, limped up beside them, completing their formidable trio. Her own inner light, though unseen like her sister's auras, burned with an intensity just as fierce. "You'll never win, reptile," she said, her voice hoarse but firm, echoing their combined conviction. "We know what you're after. We know you want to snuff out that light, to claim Jake's essence for your own twisted ends. But we'll stop you, together. We promised we would protect him, and we will keep that promise." Vargoth's eye twitched, a flicker of something akin to annoyance, then amusement, in its depths. His lips pulled back in a feral, chilling smile, baring those wicked teeth once more. Sanctuary is an illusion. You stand in the ashes of hope. Faith is a fragile thing, he responded. Now let's see if your light can survive the storm I bring. Let your courage spark violently in the dark if it must. But you'll know this by now. Your abyss awaits. The words slithering through the air like venomous snakes. Then, with an impossible speed that defied his massive bulk, he lunged. The ground erupted as his claws tore through the earth where they had just stood. The three sisters scattered, their earlier defiance hardening into pure instinct. The air crackled, not just with the burning embers from the church, but with the raw, unleashed power of two opposing forces. The fight began. Vargoth was a whirlwind of dark blue scales and razor-sharp appendages. He moved with a brutal, efficient grace, a hunter refined by millennia of predation. His tail, tipped with a wicked barb, lashed out, leaving gouges in the muddy earth. His breath was a frigid mist, carrying the metallic tang of old blood and the scent of decay. He was a force of nature, a living nightmare, and they, three young women, were his only opposition. But the butterfly girls, though physically smaller, were fortified by something ancient and profound. Their training had been rigorous, their bond unbreakable, and their purpose, Jake, burned brighter than any flame. They moved in a synchronized dance, honed by countless hours of defense and attack, their individual powers weaving together into a cohesive whole. Zoe, agile as a hummingbird, moved with breathtaking speed. Her soft blue aura flared, manifesting as shimmering energy bolts that she launched from her outstretched hands. They struck Vargoth's scales, not with devastating force, but with an irritating, stinging precision, designed to disorient and distract. She darted beneath his sweeping tail, barely evading a crushing blow, and unleashed a series of rapid-fire strikes at his legs, trying to impede his movement. Her face was a mask of fierce concentration, every move a testament to her courage. Anna, with her golden aura, was the anchor, the strategist. Her power manifested as shimmering golden shields, conjured with a flick of her wrist, deflecting Vargoth's deadliest attacks. When his massive claw came crashing down, intent on crushing Zoe, Anna was there, a solid wall of light, absorbing the impact, sending tremors through the ground. She moved with a deliberate, powerful grace, her attacks more measured, more potent. She launched focused blasts of golden energy that, while not enough to fell him, were designed to push him back, to create openings for her sisters. Her eyes constantly scanned the battlefield, assessing Vargoth's movements, anticipating his next strike, her mind a whirling vortex of tactical decisions. Emily, fueled by a fierce protective love for Jake, was raw power and relentless determination. Her movements, though still hampered by her earlier wounds, were infused with a desperate strength. She didn't unleash visible auras like her sisters, but her hands glowed with a faint, internal light as she focused her energy. She used her spiritual connection to the earth, making the very ground churn and ripple beneath Vargoth's feet, trying to throw him off balance. She launched concussive waves that struck his chest, making him growl in frustration, even if he remained unharmed. Her focus was sharp, her resolve unyielding. Every strike, every dodge, every ounce of her being was dedicated to protecting Jake, to ending Vargoth's terror. The burning church provided a hellish backdrop. Flames licked higher, painting the sky in shades of orange and blood red. Smoke choked the air, mixing with the chilling exhalations of Vargoth and the charged energy of the girls' powers. The unsettling atmosphere, already thick with dread, intensified with every clash. The battle was a gruesome ballet of light and shadow, hope and despair. Vargoth, cunning and merciless, responded to their every move. He was not just a brute, he was frighteningly smart, learning their patterns, adapting. He feigned a lunge at Anna, then spun his tail, whipping towards Emily. But Zoe, ever vigilant, intercepted the blow with a burst of speed, cushioning the impact, her body absorbing the shock. The pain sent a gasp escaping her lips, but she was back on her feet in an instant, snarling defiance. The initial phase of the fight was a desperate dance, both sides evenly matched in a terrifying, deadly balance. Vargoth's raw power and ancient malevolence against the sisters' combined strength, their unbreakable bond, and their absolute refusal to yield. But the girls knew they couldn't simply outlast him. They needed to subdue him to perform the ritual. They pushed him back, step by painful step, towards the center of the graveyard, amidst ancient headstones and charred earth. Anna, with a mighty surge of golden energy, managed to knock Vargoth off balance, sending him stumbling. Zoe seized the opportunity, darting in and striking at his legs with a series of light-infused kicks, causing him to roar in frustration. Emily, seizing her moment, used her power to bind his legs with shimmering chains of spiritual energy that rose from the ground itself, momentarily restricting his movement. With a final, concerted effort, they managed to overpower him. Anna and Zoe, pouring every ounce of their remaining energy, unleashed powerful, synchronized blasts of light that slammed into Vargoth's chest, driving him backward, forcing him onto his back. Emily, gritting her teeth against the pain, focused her will, extending the ethereal chains to pin his massive limbs to the muddy ground. His scales scraped against the earth, his roars echoing with frustrated fury, but he was held, momentarily helpless. "Now!" Anna cried, her voice strained, sweat beading on her forehead. The exertion of holding Vargoth down was immense. The three sisters quickly formed a triangle around the pinned beast. Their auras, though dimmed by battle, flared once more, intertwining, weaving into a single luminous column that pulsed with immense power. They began to chant, their voices rising in unison, clear and strong, even as the flames behind them cast dancing, ominous shadows. "And God saw that the light was good," Anna began, her voice resonating with ancient power. "And he gave us to our friend," Zoe continued, her young voice imbued with an unwavering purity. "May we erase this evil within the monster." Emily joined in, her voice filled with a desperate, burning hope. Their voices blended into a single harmonious tone, a sacred melody against the cacophony of the burning church. The air around them crackled, not with Vargoth's static, but with the pure, unadulterated energy of their combined will. "May we end this reign of terror forever." The words vibrated with increasing intensity, the light swirling around them, brighter and brighter. "May we butterfly girls save our friend from the darkness forever." The ground beneath them trembled. A brilliant, pure light began to coalesce above Vargoth, pulsing with the promise of divine purgation. It was their ultimate power, the culmination of their spiritual energy, their love, their unwavering purpose. They were preparing to unleash it, to erase the darkness within him, to free Jake from his tormentor. But Vargoth, for all his monstrous evil, was cunning. His pale blue eye, though constrained, darted frantically across the ground, searching, calculating. Just as the light above him reached its blinding zenith, his gaze locked onto something. There, half buried in the churned earth near a shattered headstone, pulsating with an unholy obsidian gleam, was the dark star. It pulsed with a malevolent, hungry energy, a shard of pure void. It was the antithesis of everything the girls represented, a focal point of ancient cosmic corruption. His eye widened in recognition, a terrible, desperate hope flickering within their depths. With a guttural snarl of defiance, he strained against the ethereal chains, his muscles bulging, his claws scrabbling frantically in the dirt. The girls, focused on their chant, their power, didn't notice his desperate struggle until it was almost too late. With a final, agonizing surge of strength, he tore one claw free from the spiritual bonds. The girls gasped, their chant faltering for a split second, their faces etched with dawning horror. It was all the time he needed. His claw raked across the ground, scooped up the pulsating dark star, and brought it to his gaping maw. He swallowed it whole. A wave of pure, concentrated darkness exploded outwards from Vargoth. The air screamed. His form convulsed violently, his scales rippling as if molten. A horrific, unholy energy surged through him, making the very ground beneath him crack and fissure. The crimson static on his quills intensified, turning into miniature lightning bolts that danced wildly across his back. His growl morphed into a titanic roar, a sound that seemed to tear at the fabric of reality itself, echoing with a demonic resonance that shattered the silence of the graveyard. "Now you're just making me mad," he bellowed, his voice no longer merely a growl, but a booming, multi-layered cacophony of ancient evils, a chorus of damnation. Then, with a terrifying, deliberate inhalation, he unleashed it. A shadowy aura pulse. It wasn't just a blast of energy. It was a wave of pure, suffocating darkness, a tangible void. It washed over the butterfly girls, not with impact, but with an agonizing, insidious emptiness. It was a cold, absolute negation designed to strip away their very essence. The pure light they had painstakingly gathered, the intertwined auras that had pulsed with such hope, were instantly snuffed out, consumed by the encroaching blackness. The unseen Jake, whose light they fought for, felt the echo of that darkness even from afar, a sudden, inexplicable chill that sent a shiver through his core, making the world around him flicker and dim, pulling him down into an abrupt, terrifying blankness. He blacked out. The butterfly girls were not merely knocked backward, they were sent flying, propelled by the sheer force of the shadow pulse. They crashed brutally into the ancient headstones and muddied earth, striking stone and ground with sickening thuds. The impact rattled their bones, but it was the internal assault that was truly devastating. The shadowy aura pulse had not simply struck them, it had seeped into their very cells. It had depleted all the light and oxygen in their bodies, an insidious, chilling poison that left them gasping, their lungs burning for air that suddenly felt thin and acrid. Their cells, the very engines of their life force and their power, were now unable to absorb light or oxygen. It was a horrifying, debilitating curse that rendered their abilities gravely compromised for the remainder of the fight, significantly reducing their strength, their speed, their very capacity to exist as the empowered guardians they were. The acrid stench of burning oak and plaster filled Emily's lungs, a choking testament to the nightmare unfolding around them. St. Michael's Church, once a sanctuary of quiet reflection, now roared like a funeral pyre, its stained glass windows shattering with percussive blasts as the inferno consumed it. But the fire was a mere backdrop to the true horror. Vargoth materialized from a billowing cloud of smoke that had erupted from the altar, his now blood-red eye gleaming with malevolent amusement. He moved with a terrifying, unnatural grace, a silent hunter emerging from the chaos. Before Emily, Anna, or Zoe could react, Vargoth was upon them. He was a destroyer, a whirlwind of scales and muscle. His initial strike was a blur, a crushing blow to Emily's midsection that sent her sprawling, gasping for air. The impact ripped through her, leaving her lungs burning and her vision swimming. The beast didn't pause. He followed with sickening precision, his long, sharp, iron-coated claws extending from his knuckles with a metallic shine. He began a relentless assault, scratching, punching, and slamming her against the crumbling pews. Each strike was calculated, meant to inflict maximum pain and psychological terror. Emily screamed, a ragged sound torn from her throat, as claws raked across her arm, tearing through her sleeve and digging into her flesh. A punch to the jaw sent her head snapping back, stars exploding behind her eyes. Then came the strangulation, Vargoth's powerful hands clamping around her neck, cutting off her breath. The world began to dim, the roar of the fire fading into a muffled throb. She thrashed, desperate, but his grip was unyielding, fueled by a chilling, sadistic glee. Her clothes, once a symbol of their unity and strength, were now shredded, hanging in tatters, smeared with ash and her own blood. She felt a profound weariness settle into her bones, a crushing exhaustion that threatened to pull her under. Just as the darkness threatened to consume her, Vargoth released her, letting her slump to the ash-covered floor, gasping. He grabbed her by her head, his claws digging painfully into her scalp, forcing her face up to meet his chilling gaze. A low, guttural laugh rumbled in his chest, a sound devoid of mirth, purely evil. Emily's vision was blurry, her body screaming with pain, but she could see the energy gathering in his left arm, coalescing into a sickly purple glow. It was a charge she knew well, a blow meant to obliterate. He was about to punch her in the chest, to deliver a killing blow that would leave nothing but a crater where her heart had been. "Emily!" Anna's cry was a desperate shriek, cutting through the haze of pain. With a surge of strength born from sheer terror, Anna launched herself forward, her own powers momentarily pushing her past the beast's awareness. She grabbed Vargoth's charged left arm, her fingers burning on his scaled hide, trying to deflect the blow, to stop the inevitable. Vargoth snarled, his blood-red eye narrowing to a slit. "Well, that just sums up your choices, doesn't it?" he roared at Anna, his voice laced with contempt. He didn't even turn his head. With a casual flick of his right arm, he backhanded Anna with blinding speed and immense force. The oldest Hashimoto sister was set spinning, a ragdoll flung through the air, crashing into a stone pillar that groaned under the impact, before crumpling to the floor, unmoving. Jake's limbs felt like lead. He tried to move, to help them, but his body refused to obey. A suffocating dread had rooted Jake to the spot, making him an unwilling spectator to this brutal display. Vargoth was a whirlwind of violence, a predator unbound. He turned his attention back to Emily, then to Zoe, assaulting them one by one, each strike accompanied by a sickening thud and a flash of his cruel, predatory smile. His movements were a terrifying dance of power and sadism, his enjoyment palpable as he savaged them. Emily, still reeling from the initial beatdown, was locked in an energy beam lock with the monster. Vargoth's chest glowed with an ominous, dark energy, a beam of pure malevolence pushing against Emily's fading defensive shield. Her face was strained with the immense effort, sweat mixing with grime and blood, her teeth gritted against the overwhelming force. She felt her shield falter, crackling under the pressure. "Emily!" Zoe's voice, though young, held a fierce determination. She and Anna, stirring from her near unconsciousness, rushed to Emily's aid, combining their dwindling powers, throwing everything they had into reinforcing the shield. A burst of vibrant ethereal light erupted from their combined efforts, pushing back against Vargoth's heat ray. For a brief moment, it seemed they might hold him at bay, but Vargoth was too strong. A low growl rumbled in his chest, a sound of irritation more than exertion. He poured more energy into his beam, his form rippling with unleashed power. The dark beam intensified, a dark red-purple spear that pierced through their combined defenses. The shield exploded inward, blasting the butterfly girls to the ground. A searing wave of heat enveloped them, leaving Anna and Zoe badly burned, their skin blistering, their screams echoing in the outlands. Vargoth absorbed their released energy, a visible ripple of power surging through his form. He grew even more powerful, his aura expanding, the air around him crackling with dark electricity. "No!" Emily screamed, a guttural cry of despair and rage. She pushed herself up on trembling limbs, her eyes wide with horror, as Vargoth effortlessly lifted Anna and Zoe, their forms limp, their powers flickering like dying embers. He held them suspended, their life force visibly draining from them, flowing into him like dark rivers. He threw them aside, then turned his terrifying gaze back to Emily, before walking towards her and stepping on her chest, preventing her from getting up. He opened her mouth with his electrified clawed hands, his sharp claws burning her lips, her tongue. A blast of bloody red and dark violet energy began to gather at the back of his throat, preparing to fire directly down her throat, to incinerate her from the inside out. Emily could taste the acrid energy, feel its chilling heat. Her eyes welled with tears, not of pain, but of a profound, soul-deep terror. Then, a blur of motion, Anna and Zoe, somehow finding a last desperate surge of will, tackled Vargoth from behind. They slammed into him with what little force they had left, disrupting his aim, saving Emily from instant oblivion. But their act of defiance left them utterly vulnerable, their bodies already depleted, now utterly exposed. Vargoth's fury, thwarted, turned on them with devastating speed. He seized Anna and Zoe, one in each hand, his claws sinking into their shoulders. He began to drain them, not just their power, but their very life force, their essence. Their forms flickered, growing translucent, their youthful faces contorting in silent screams, as their life ebbed away. Emily watched, helpless, as her sisters, her family, were slowly, agonizingly consumed. A cold, hard clarity cut through Emily's despair. She remembered something, a whispered warning, an obscure detail from an ancient scroll. Vargoth's dark powers, while formidable, were prone to an extreme side effect: overheating. His core, the dark star that fueled him, could reach a critical temperature of 1,200 degrees Celsius. If he continued to increase in power, receiving too much strain, or expending his energy too far, the dark star would burn out and power down, leaving him vulnerable. It was a gamble, a desperate, impossible long shot, but it was their only chance. But she just couldn't do it. He's only getting stronger. Every time I strike, he just absorbs it, turns my hope into his own weapon, she said to herself. What if we're not enough? What if I'm not enough? A sudden warmth bloomed at her side, gentle yet radiant, as if the world itself paused to let the light in. She turned and saw him, a figure of impossible brightness, clothed in compassion and certainty. Jesus stood before her, his presence both calming and awe-inspiring, his eyes reflecting a love that seemed to reach through every shadow. He spoke softly, but his words resonated with a power that stilled her doubts. Emily, do you not see? The strength you fear is lacking has always been within you, woven through every bond you forged. You and your sisters, your unity, your love, have already carried you through storms that would have broken others. Without them, you would have fallen long before this night. Emily's eyes filled with tears, a mixture of relief and longing. But what if I fail them? What if I fail Jake? Jesus smiled, the kind of smile that made the darkness shrink away. You are not meant to carry this burden alone. The path you walk is not one of solitary heroism, but of shared light. Every act of love, every sacrifice, every moment you chose hope over despair, these are the weapons that evil cannot steal. You are enough because you are never alone. As Vargoth's gaze locked onto her, sensing the shift in her spirit, Jesus extended his hand. Emily hesitated only a moment before taking it, feeling a surge of courage and clarity ignite within her. He leaned closer, his voice a gentle promise that seemed to echo in her soul. I have seen the end of this darkness, Emily. The way through is not by matching his fury, but by holding fast to the light you carry. I am the way through this nightmare, the hope that endures, the love that cannot be unmade. Trust in me, and let your heart be unafraid. Emily squeezed his hand, feeling the warmth of his presence settle deep within her chest. I trust you, she whispered. Show me how to end this.